Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nichalatatvam, nichalatatve jivanmuktihi, punarapi jananam, punarapi marana, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare paki mura.
Dear viewers, the Acharya's Prakarana Grantha Vakyavritti starts from this Vijayadashami, and this may go on at the rate of 1 or 2 classes per week. So, those of you interested, you can be benefited. Vakyavritti. Yasya prasadat mukopi vavadhuko bhijayate bhashya bhavagya vikhyataha sadgurum pranamamyaham panditanam cha rajanam shastre ratnakaropamam palapurvam gurum vande subramanyabhidam muda shruti smriti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavatpada shankaram lokashankaram sahana vavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahavidyam karavavahai तेजस्विनावधि तमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 सर्गस्थिति प्रलय हेतुमचिन्त्य शक्तिं विश्वेश्वरं विदित विश्वमनन्तमूर्तिं निर्मुक्त बन्धम अपार सुखाम्बुरासिं श्रीवल्लभं विमलबोधगणं नमामि यस्य प्रसादादहमेव विष्णुर्मय्येव सर्वं परिकल्पितं च नित्यं विजानामि सदात्मरूपं तस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्. This is a Prakarana Grantha named Vakyavritti, and Acharya has written another work also, Laghu Vakyavritti. Prakarana Granthas. Acharya's Granthas can be classified in different categories, that is Prasthanatraya Bhashyas and Laghu Bhashyas, Prakarana Granthas, Stotra Granthas, like that. So Prasthanatraya Bhashyas are Bhashyas on Upanishads, Bhagavad Geeta and Brahma Sutra. And Laghu Bhashyas are Bhashyas like Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashya, Sanasujatiya Bhashya, Samalkiya Bhashya, and such other works, which are besides the Prasthanatraya Bhashyas. And of course the Stotra Granthas are known, written on all the deities, all the temples and all those things. And the Prakarana Granthas are Vedanta works. Vedanta, the knowledge of Vedanta, Aham Brahmasmi, is to be obtained. That is, the Aparoksha Jnana of the individual is none other than Supreme Brahman. So Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is the core truth, core essence, core basic of the Vedanta. And this knowledge is to be realized, this knowledge is to be known, but this knowledge is not to be known simply as a knowledge, simply as a textual knowledge. This has to be internalized, this has to be known directly, that is direct knowledge. What is called Aparoksha Brahma Sakshatkara. Aparoksha means direct knowledge, personal knowledge, direct knowledge, not any secondary knowledge or indirect knowledge like Anumana etc. or bookish knowledge. This we must personally and directly realize we are none other than Brahman, and the world or samsara has nothing to do with us. That we have to realize. That's the most important thing. And this can be obtained through two processes. The first process is the preparation of the individual. The individual must be ready to get this knowledge, which is known as Chitta Suddhi or Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Everyone proceeds on the preparation, on the accomplishment of the previous. So the first step is Chitta Suddhi. The Chitta Suddhi can be obtained by Ishwaranugraha. Ishwaranugraha deva pumsam advaita vasana. So even this, what is called an idea to know that there is an Advaita, we have to proceed in that path. That requires Ishwaranugraha. So Ishwaranugraha, for that we have to do puja, and that puja must be later on to be developed into Nishkama Karma Anushtana. Like that. Puja is not just puja alone, all the Vihita Karmas. Vihita karmas also should be performed, because by not performing Vihita karma, the akurvan vihitam karma. So when we don't perform the prescribed duties, then that requires that we are swerving from our duty. That entails a problem. So that what is called obstructs, prevents from our proceeding further in that line. So we have to follow the Nitya Karma. Without sleeping, we have to follow the Nitya Karma, Puja, etc. And from performing all these things, slowly, we evolve. Our evolution takes place. The Jiva evolves slowly. That is Chitta Shuddhi. When the Chitta Shuddhi takes place, Vairagya and Aikagriya, when they take place, then he has to get ready for Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Nityanitya Vyavasti Viveka, Vihamutrartha Palabhoga Viraga, Samadhamadu Sadhana Sampat, and the Tivra Mumuksha. All the four elements, we have to get qualified. We have to qualify fully. We have to be qualified. That is, there should not be any iota of what is called doubt or anything like that. We should get fully qualified in all these four things. And when we become fully qualified with these things, we become eligible for Sravana. And from Sravana, we have to go to Manana, and from Manana, we have to go to Nididhyasana. Slowly we evolve. So in this evolution, when it becomes perfect, then what happens? The realization dawns. We don't go towards realization, etc. The realization dawns. Urvarukameva bandhanat mrityor mukshiya mamritat. Now, there are different things, but what does Sravana, Manana and Nididhyasana do? See, in Panchadasi, Vidyaranya Swami has explained it. There are three types of obstructions. Pramana Asambhavana, these obstructions are called the Asambhavanas. Pramana Asambhavana, Prameya Asambhavana, Viparita Bhavana. First, our conviction in the Pramana. Initially, or not only initially, generally we accept Pramana. But when the doubt comes, or when the problem comes, we follow our mind. We don't follow Pramana. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to accept it. So for example, the stories, the Upanishads, etc., when they explain these things, they narrate some stories. The stories may be available in Puranas, the stories might have been told earlier, the stories may be current in the what is called Upanyasaka Lok, that is the world, the people who are giving discourses, etc. But these stories try to explain, try to help us comprehend what the problem is. Just let us give a story. These students have gone to a teacher, to the spiritual guidance, and the teacher has taught them something. Some time has passed, and later on, the teacher wanted to test how far they have got it. He gave one banana, plantain fruit, to each of them, all the three students. And you just take this banana, go out from the Gurukula and find a place where there is no one. In an empty vacuum space, you take this banana. That is, unseen by others, you consume this banana. All the three students have started moving. And it was a crowded place and all the people were there. So they walked further, long distance, and they came to an empty vacant space. And when the space came, there was no one, and no one was in the sight. And even if anyone were to come by that area, they would have consumed banana by that time. So the possibility of consuming banana without being seen by anybody is there. So the first student decided, I have walked a long distance and this must be the place. Guru said, I should consume it without being seen by anybody. So I will consume it here. So he just went by the side of a boulder, behind the boulder, because the other two students also should not see, isn't it? So behind the boulder, he sat there and consumed the banana. But the second students are, the second and third, Guru said not to be seen by anybody, but when the first boy has understood anybody to be a human being, so he chose this place. But there were many animals and birds, insects, animals and birds were there. Since all these things were there, he is being seen by those things. They are also creatures, they are also Jivarasi. So, other does not mean human being only. Other should also mean animals, creatures and all those insects too. So, I have to choose a place where these things also are not there. So, both of them started moving. When they started moving, they came to a place, that is the other two. The first one sat there and ate. The other two, they went there. And he found a place where there was no animal, no bird, there was no animal, no bird, no insects and nothing of that sort. So the second student thought, so since I am not being seen by anybody, so this must be the place where I can consume it. So he consumed it. But the third student felt, we cannot say like that. That is, there is no animal or something like that. Let me just go still further, because the second student is there very much. So let me go further. And then, after going long distance, unable to find any place where there was no one, then he returned to the Guru and returned the fruit to him. All the other two people also were there. The first student narrated his experience and second student narrated the experience. The third student, the Guru asked, "You did not find a place where there was none. You did not eat the fruit at all." Then he said, "Of course, as the first student, there was no human being, and as the second friend found, there was no place where there was no creatures. But I could not find a place absolutely free, because, as you said, God was present everywhere, and He should be looking at me. Wherever I go, His presence should be there. And how can I eat without being seen by Him? So I thought that as you have said, a place where there is none, such a place will not be available, such a place could not be found. So I searched and I could not find it, and then I returned it. I returned to you and returned the fruit also." Now, the teacher has taught all the three people the same thing, because they have been studying together. He is not teaching them specially. He is not teaching one student specially. He is not giving one student special instruction or special lessons, the other students less instruction. It is not like that. He is teaching all the three people. But when the test came, they have realized the teaching, understood the teaching according to their conception, according to their understanding, according to their grasp. So now the first student thought the other should refer only to a human being. The second student felt other should be all the creatures, and there cannot be other at all according to that student. So it shows their evolution. It shows their mental makeup. It shows how far the abstractions that clutter their mind, or the problems that prevent these people from comprehending and understanding the teaching, that the story presents to us. So now, just like the third students, we have to realize the unseen abstraction also. Remember, in the case of the first two students, we would not have understood the unseen abstractions. We would have understood it in our own way, and we will not even think what is our understanding of other is not even problematic. That's the most important thing. What we have understood, we take it as correct, and we will not even think it has some problems, it is not clear. So we have to think over, we have to proceed further, we have to stop to evolve. That we don't do. This is called asambhavana. This asambhavana is of threefold. That is, first, complete absolute. Guru Devada Veda Vakyeshu Astikya Buddhi. Shraddha. In the Sadhana Chaturshya Sampatti, the word Shraddha is used. Shraddha is Guru Veda Vakyeshu Astikya Buddhi. That is absolute faith, absolute trust in those words and to follow it. Remember, we don't say we don't believe Guru or we don't believe Veda Vakya. We don't say we don't trust them. But when we hear and when it becomes problematic for us to follow, what we do is we try to interpret, we try to understand as we like it. We try to understand as we like it. So what happens? It is our understanding, it is our interpretation that matters, not what we have to understand, what we have to follow. So now we have to understand the difference between our understanding and what is to be understood. And here lies the asambhavana. The pramana asambhavana just causes our understanding to be predominant and what is to be understood not as the main and basic thing. So this becomes the problem. This problem we have to overcome, and this problem cannot be overcome by studies. The studies will contribute more and more to this problem. So what is to be understood is, we have to, with confidence and faith, we have to study further and further. So this is called Shravana, and Shravana will remove this Asambhavana, and Manana will receive Prameya Asambhavana, and Nididhyasana will just remove our samskaras, past samskaras, so that we will be able to evolve further. In this way, these three Asambhavanas are to be removed, and Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana will help. And Shravana is essentially from Prasthanatraya Bhashya. That is, we have to learn the Prasthanatraya Bhashya under a guru. But to brood over what we have learned, that is, to do this, to strengthen the Shravana and the Manana, Acharya has written Prakarana Granthas. So the Prakarana Granthas help us to what is called the strengthen the threefold process, namely Shravana and Manana and Nididhyasana. This vakyavritti also is one such a Prakarana Grantha, and let us just see how vakyavritti, Vakya is generally Mahavakya, and essentially Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi is called Upadesha Vakya, and how this Upadesha Vakya is presented, how it is to be understood, etc. We can see this in this work. So this work starts with, as usual, a Mangalacharana. The two Mangalacharanas are there. In the first Mangalacharana, that is, both of them, he presents to Nirguna Brahman, he offers his salutations, but the second, he just sees the Nirguna Brahman as Vishnu. Let us see. Sargasthiti pralaya hetum achintya shaktim Vishweshwaram vidita vishwam ananta murtim nirmukta bandhanam aparam apara sukhamburasim Srivallabham Vimala Bodha Ganam Namami. So Namami means I salute. The question arises. Say Nirguna Brahman means there is nothing else apart from that Brahman. Brahman is the only one thing. And the Jiva, can Jiva offer salutation to the Nirguna Brahman? There is absolutely nothing wrong. We can offer salutations to Nirguna Brahman. There is one thing. But even assuming that Nirguna Brahman, there is no other thing. When Nirguna Brahman is there, the second Jiva cannot be there. How can the salutation is offered? Namami, always salutations. They present salutations is not only a physical obeisance, but salutation also means the other is supreme, greater, higher. So the word Jayati, they use the word not only Namami, they also use the word Jayati. Jayatyasrita sandrasa dvanta vidham sanodayaha. That is Jayati, they can start the word Jayati with Jayati also instead of Namami. So Jayati means victorious. Jayati means the great. So when you say that something or someone is great, that means he is greater than you. And when he is greater, and without any respect, and simply it is said great, he is great in all respects, and he alone is great, and I just becomes nothing before him. That is, I am none before him, so he alone is there. In that sense, Nirguna Brahman alone, so Supreme Nirguna Brahman shines supreme as alone. It becomes in that sense. So Vimala Bodha Ganam. So this is Bodha Ganam. It is consciousness, nothing but consciousness, nothing but awareness. So this Brahman is nothing but awareness. It is consciousness. So that sort of consciousness is being presented. And that consciousness, remember, consciousness is knowledge. Only through knowledge we get all the informations. Outside informations, even knowledge about ourselves, knowledge about everything comes to us only through this knowledge or consciousness. Without it, we can't get any knowledge. Now, when we have to get this knowledge comes through directly. You can't get a knowledge of an object. Say, when I see what is called, I see the cell phone here. When I see the cell phone, say this is cell phone, I have the knowledge of cell phone. There are two informations. One information, this is cell phone. What is the object is there before me is cell phone. Not only that, unless I get the knowledge, this is cell phone, or I have the cell phone, or their cell phone is there, etc., I will not be able to react to it. So, when I have to react to an object that is available before me, that is, if I have to react to an object which is available before me, it is not only enough there is an object, but also I have the knowledge of that object. I am gataha, gata jnanavan aham, as they say. So I have that particular knowledge. Now, how can I have this particular knowledge? If this knowledge is direct and always if I were to get, just because there is knowledge in me and if there is object, it should be known, we can't sleep at all. Always there will be knowledge. And there will be no doubt at all, no wrong knowledge at all. Always it should be right knowledge. So now, the knowledge does not come to us direct. The knowledge is presented to what is known as vritti. So through vritti, that is through mental mode, the mind has to interact. The Nayayikas beautifully says, Atma manasa samyujyate mana indriyena indriyam arthena tatah pratyaksham. For all basic purposes, we can keep this table. Tamilla vaipadungurom illaya. This table we can keep. Atma for all practical purposes. So, when we have to get the knowledge of an object, how the knowledge object, that is, I should decide first of all, I must get a knowledge, and where should I get the knowledge, in eastern direction or western direction, or what sort of knowledge I require, what do I want to know, what do I require. So, first of all, there is my requirement. So, when there is a requirement, the Atma directs the mind. Mind is directed. How, when, why, etc., all those problems you will see later. So the mind is directed. That is, directed means Atma gets into contact with mind. When there is a contact with mind and Atma, then what happens? Mind becomes activated. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. So now what happens? Mind becomes activated. So when the mind is activated, Atma manasa samyujyate mana indriyena. Mind directs. Say for example, let us say sense organ. Somebody is coming and we want to know who that person. So when we want to know who that person is, whether he is known to us, should I greet him or should I say hello to him or should I have something to do with him, interact with him? Then what happens? The self directs. Self means me, the jiva directs the mind and the mind directs the sense organs. That is just to see, go and see him, what he is. So there is a sense-object contact. The eye contacts that particular person. That is, it comes into the figure of that particular person. So now what happens? Atma manasa. This is not the over. Atma manasa samyujyate mana indriyena indriyam arthena. There is a contact between indriya and artha, sense organ and object. This is why in Brahma we find, if we are not interested in the object which is coming before us, or if we are worried, if our mind is elsewhere, anyatra manabhuvam nadraksham, Vivekananda says, my mind was elsewhere, I did not see. That is, even if we see something before us, if our mind is not there, that is, if we are elsewhere, if our mind is worried, or if we are engrossed in some other thinking, even if there is a sense-object contact, we are not able to recognize who he is. அதான் ரோட்ல ஏதோ கவனமா போயிட்டு இருந்தா வண்டிக்காரங்களாம் என்ன சொல்றாங்க, என்ன பெருசு சொல்லிக்கணும் வந்துட்டேன்னா, that is, don't you have any other vehicle to fall? Only is my vehicle available, like that they say, isn't it? That is, we are not listening to it. It is not the defect of sense organ. Our mind is not engrossed in that thing, what we are doing. When we are walking in the road, we are not listening to the sounds, the horns, the movement of vehicles, etc. Because of our engrossment, because of our worries, we are moving in different direction. Our sense organs are not working. So all the four things, the self, the mind, the sense organ, the object, all the four should be in perfect agreement, perfect contact with each other, then you recognize. But even that is not enough. You may be seeing, if he is a new person, if you are not able to recognize, what happens? You have to ask, who are you? So now, our past samskaras, the chitta vritti should come into play. That is, we should be able to recognize. Immediately, we should be able to remember who that particular person is. Or we have to, press our mind, who he can be, like that. So, this also, all these things have to come into play. When all these things come into play, we know. We say, we know him. I know you. How are you? Where are you? Where are you going? How are people in your house? That is, as if we have recognized him, we interact with him with about questions about his well-being, his welfare of his household, his bill and all those things. So now, all these things come into contact, that is, all the connected things come into contact when we recognize. The knowledge becomes, we say, the knowledge is complete. Now remember, unless the vritti is connected, we are not able to know what that object is. We are not able to recognize what that object is. We don't get the knowledge of that object at all. So if we have to get the knowledge of an object, the vritti should come into play. Unless vritti comes into play, we can't get any knowledge of any object at all. So always, to get information, to get the knowledge of any object, to get any knowledge, the vritti also has to be connected with or interact with the consciousness. So the consciousness becomes tainted with or associated with vritti. So when it becomes tainted with or associated with, then you cannot say it is pure knowledge. So now we have to get that pure knowledge. We are speaking of that pure knowledge. The pure knowledge illumines the vritti, and then we know something else. Only through vritti we can know anything. Prati bodha, every knowledge has got this pure knowledge and vritti. Without vritti, absolutely no knowledge is possible. So that's why they say knowledge is always pratidvandvika, is associated with another object. Unless that object is known, we will not be able to know the knowledge. To know the object, knowledge is required. To know the existence of the knowledge of an object also is equally required. So, always that knowledge is not vimala, is not pure, is not clear. But now, we have to get that pure knowledge. But it is not that the pure knowledge is not there at all. When we go into deep sleep, the next day we get up. And we get up, we say, Sukham aham aswapsam, I slept well. But when you get the knowledge, I slept well, the slept well is a past tense. That is, it is in the sense of past tense. When it is a past tense means recognition. That is recollection. When it is recollection, there should be an experience. You must have had an experience. How is that experience? What is that experience? What is the nature of that experience? Let us see the next program. Thank you.